Thanks for tuning in to Real Talk with Tamara. On today's show, I have Kelley AlsoBrook here. She's the founder and director of Beauty to Ashes, and just recently she started a Beauty to Ashes in Jacksonville. Thanks for being here, Kelley.
Thank you for having me, and it's actually Ashes to Beauty.
Ashes to Beauty?
Yes.
What did I say?
Beauty to Ashes.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I get that all the time, though.
Okay, so tell me about your organization.
Well, what we do is we bring awareness about the problems of human trafficking. It is the second largest crime in the country, and most people think it's a third world country issue, but it's really right here in our backyards affecting our kids, our grandkids. So we bring the awareness, and I speak out against human trafficking. And the other thing that we do is we also have classes. And what that does is bring healing to those that have been hurt by abuse, any type of abuse at any time of their life. The other thing that we do is we try to empower teenagers and our youth of today, because if we don't grab the youth of our today and let them know that they are special and that they are loved and allow them to hurt from their past, then they're easy targets for these traffickers. Our ultimate goal is to be able to rescue victims of human trafficking and house them.
Okay. What made you want to start this organization?
There are so many women in our society that are hurting. I myself am a survivor of child abuse, child molestation, domestic violence, and human trafficking. And I know what it is to live in that victim mentality and not ever feel good about yourself, and to feel all that guilt, all that shame. And I want to empower women. I want to help empower women. I want to help our youth of today to not become victims and easy targets of these traffickers, of these men that are abusive, sexual assault. So that's my passion.
Do you think in today's society, do you feel that a lot of people are completely oblivious to what's going on as far as human trafficking?
They are, because like I said earlier, they think it's a third world country issue, that it cannot happen here in the United States. But it is. It's happening every day. Look at our society. Look at our youth. Look at what they're dealing with right now. The young men and the young women, they are having sex at an early age, in middle school, some in elementary school. There's so many single-parent homes. The moms can't be everywhere. They can't check everything. That's a huge job for them. They're already trying to take care of everything financially. So these kids are lacking, and the root of all of this is love. They're looking for love. And so they go to a mall, they go online, they go on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media site, and there's someone that's complimenting them. There's someone that's telling them they're special. Well, that's how they're reeling them in. And, next thing you know, they're leaving with them, and then they're forced into this life that they didn't want, And so, yeah, it's in our backyards. I tell people all the time, if you see someone that is a prostitute, someone who's talking about prostitution, someone that's talking about selling themselves, then you wake up one day and say, hey, my life's dream is to be a prostitute. So there's something there. Don't judge them. They're there for a reason. They got there somehow. They didn't just decide that's what they were going to do.
I've been doing a lot of studying on human trafficking, and in my study I found that also a lot of young ladies are being forced into it. And when I say forced, I mean they are being kidnapped and forced into it. How often do you see that?
There's a fine line there. Because when we say kidnapped or forced, a lot of the victims that I've talked to, a lot of survivors that I have talked to, have been coerced by someone else. Whether it was a girlfriend, whether it was by a trafficker themselves. They don't know what they're getting into at first. They're thinking they're getting into this relationship. They're building this relationship. And then that's when the force comes. If you love me, you'll do this. And next thing you know, or they're being locked into a hotel room, and they're they're now an advertisement on Backpage, which if anybody doesn't know what Backpage.com is, that is, another Craigslist with a lot of adult categories in it, and they're selling these girls online. And so yes, they initially don't know what they're stepping into. So a lot of times it's not that they're actually kidnapped, it's that they're stepping into a situation where they think it's good for them, and then they're getting put into sex trafficking. And so that's where the force comes in.
Okay.
And it is a horrible, horrible lifestyle to live in.
Okay, you yourself was also a victim of human trafficking. Tell me a little bit about that.
I was 18 or 19. I had just had my daughter. My daughter was only like a year old. And my circumstances were that, I came up in a household full of abuse. So when I left that household, I really had nowhere to go and kept moving from place to place. And when I met this guy, I was living in a hotel with my daughter. I didn't have a job. I was just trying to make ends meet. And, he started buying me things for me and my daughter. He started taking us to dinner. He would pay for my hotel room, for the week. And, because I'm not from Memphis, I'm from Miami. And so there's a lot of hotels to live in on the beach. And so, one night it was, here I'm thinking, oh, it's my knight in shining armor. He's going to take care of me. He's going to love me. He's going to take care of me and my daughter. And that wasn't the case at all. He had told me that now it was time to pay up. Well, I had no family. I had no friends, really, that I could go and talk to because I was kind of cut off from my family at the time. And I felt like I had no choice. And so there was.
And did he make it obvious when he said it's time to pay up?
Well, yeah, because at first I was like, yeah, you're kidding me, right? And he was like, no. And he wasn't from Miami. A lot of times the pimps aren't from wherever they're, trafficking. So he told me, this is what you're going to do. And I was like, no, I'm not. Are you crazy? He's like, what else are you going to do? Then he made it sound like, oh, well, now you can take care of your daughter. And, so it was that coercion. And it was probably one of the most horrible nights of my life, being subjected to, first of all, I had another girl with me. It was his bottom. And she was there to train me in what I was supposed to do. So every date that I went on, she was with me to make sure, first of all, that I didn't leave. And second of all, that I got the money and I gave it to him. So it was very humiliating. And once that night happened, I didn't think I could go back. I was already, in my own eyes, garbage. After that night, I didn't feel like I would ever be accepted. And it was one of the most humiliating feelings. And the only way that I can describe what happens is being raped over and over and over again. And probably just a few days later, we were off to Washington, D.C. So there I was. I really had nowhere to go. I had nobody that I knew in D.C., and so I was stuck. I actually was in that lifestyle for about 4 or 5 years, and countless times thought I was going to die, literally, if I wasn't being taken off by a trick or somebody who I've been gang raped. And I have also dealt with the traffickers beating me unmercifully. And I had the very last one, when I was finally able to get out, was where he tried to drown me in a bathtub and poured alcohol on me and tried to set me on fire. And I was beaten so bad that I was unrecognizable. And he sent me out the next night. And that's just how it is. It doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in, how bad the beating is. You're going out and you're going to make that money and you're going to bring it back to them. So...
Well, I'm going to stop you right there because I got some tears about to roll myself. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Call United Bonding Company at 577-1138. United Bonding Company is ready to serve you 24 hours a day with prompt, discreet, honest service. Our office is conveniently located across the street from the Criminal Justice Center at 201 Poplar Avenue. We write bail bonds in all the Shelby County courts, including juvenile court. All major credit cards are accepted. Call United Bonding Company at 577-1138 today.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a nice day. United Bonding Company, where good service with honesty and integrity comes naturally. United Bonding Company.
Hi, I'm Coleman Thompson, asking for your vote and support for the office of Shelby County Registrar. That office consists of filing documents pertaining to real properties and administration. I have over 30 years of experience in business. I also serve on several boards. I'm Coleman Thompson, asking for your vote and support for the office of Shelby County Registrar. I approve this message. Thank you.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Tamara. I've been talking with Kelley AlsoBrook. She's the founder and director of Ashes to Beauty, Ashes to Beauty nonprofit organization. That organization works with young ladies who are victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. Kelley, you were also a victim of domestic violence.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about that also?
I've been in several relationships that were, very violent. As I said earlier, I come from a very violent home. My dad was he was physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, sexually abusive, and so I didn't know anything else. And so when I was looking for men, I always ended up with someone who was very controlling. And the relationships that I would get in, physically abusive, you're nothing, you're nobody, the words that are spoken in those types of relationships, they are probably more hurtful than the physical aspect of it. And, I have people ask me all the time, why do you talk about sexual assault, human trafficking, and domestic violence? But it all goes hand in hand, and you really can't separate it because in the human trafficking, it is all about that control. And there's a lot of violence in it as well. And then there's the sexual assault that happens, So domestic violence, you get involved with these people. I had one in particular that I was with that, always checking my phone and who you talking to and where are you going, and I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I could go to work and I could come home. And, he's like, I just do that because I love you so much. Well, that's not love, and, if he thought I was cheating on him, then it was a fight. And there was one time where he thought that I was going to school at the time, and he thought that he saw a man's car at the particular school that I was going to, and so he slammed my head against a brick wall, and so these are the things that I was dealing with, and it's all about that control, and then the victim having that fear. Fear. To live in fear is probably one of the worst things to live in. Because it's your own prison. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You don't know what's going to make this other person snap. And I grew up with that, and then I continued that cycle in my relationships because I didn't know any better. When you hear your own father saying, you are nothing, you're never going to be anything, and you're a piece of garbage, you believe that because that's your father.
Yeah.
So those were the relationships that I picked because I didn't think I was anything or anybody, and I wasn't worth being treated good. And I tell the story about my husband. I met him 13, 14 years ago, and poor thing, he has had to deal with a lot with me. I hadn't really gone through my healing process when I met him, and so I was a mess. And I've never heard him cuss. He's never raised his voice. He's never put his hands on me. And he's never talked down to me. I did not know how to take that. And so I left him and got into an abusive relationship. We are back together. He is my Boaz. That's what I call him. He is definitely my Boaz. And, I didn't understand that I had a good man. I looked at him like he was a punk, that he wasn't man enough, because I was always used to. You
were programmed to abusive relationships.
Right. So, now I wouldn't trade him for the world. He's just awesome.
How do you feel that your organization has been, do you feel that it has been effective, your organization in helping young ladies?
I do, like I said, I have a class that I do, and it is called Victim to Victory. And the women that come in there have been so broken and so abused. And there's been teenagers all the way up to 60-something years old in this class. And the healing that I've watched them be able to gain in this class has been amazing. And then there's been seminars that I have spoke on human trafficking, and given as a survivor of human trafficking, I've been able to give that other side that most people don't hear. And for a lot of people, it's more effective because they actually see and meet someone who has been there and can, really tell them what it's like. So I do feel like it's been effective. Maybe not as effective as I would like it to be, but it's a process. And, we're fairly new. We're only a couple of years old. And so I've seen, I get people who inbox me and say, even just my Facebook messages, are encouraging. So that encourages me to keep going. But yeah, I do think it's getting more and more effective.
So how do you feel that we can crack down on domestic violence and human trafficking?
We kind of talked about that before the show started. And so, we talk a lot about law enforcement and what they can do. One of the things that I had heard from Director Armstrong was a couple of years ago was they don't know how to categorize it. And for years and years and years, human trafficking is like any business, supply and demand. If we can stop the demand, we can stop, there's no need for the supply.
Right.
And so stricter laws on the ones that are purchasing these victims, because for a long time it's only been a slap on the wrist. So now if there's some jail time, if there's money that has to be put out on those that are purchasing, I think the ones that are doing the purchasing are even sicker than the ones that are doing the trafficking.
Absolutely.
Because who wants to purchase a young girl?
Absolutely, and they're getting younger and younger.
Exactly. And so that is where, if we can stop the demand, we can stop this, the need for traffickers. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is that there are, I'm talking to some people around the country about getting some legislation for those that are convicted of trafficking have to pay a healthy fine, like whatever it takes to rehabilitate just one prostitute, one victim of sex trafficking. Then that can go to her rehabilitation. And so we need stricter laws. We need more awareness. That's the biggest thing. If we can bring that awareness and educate. I can't say that enough. Then that is what's going to, and it's a heart issue. It is definitely a heart issue. Why does a man feel like they need to go purchase sex? And there's signs, we have these signs that say real men don't buy sex.
Right, especially from little girls, because I know that
Exactly.
you heard about on the news recently where there was this big bust and the youngest was 11 years old. That's a baby.
Yes. Yeah, and we hear about the pedophiles everywhere. It is a heart issue, and that's the root of all of this. It's a heart issue. Where are the hearts of the men and women? Because there's women that are trafficking, and it's not just young girls that are being trafficked. It's boys that are being trafficked. We don't often hear about the boys. I cannot relate to a lot of the boys, so I don't talk a lot about it. That takes a whole nother level. Is when you're talking about the boys and. So there needs to be a heart check too in the lives of citizens, and the men that are doing these purchasing. So,
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. I'm going to stop you right there, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Coleman Thompson, asking for your vote and support for the Office of County Registrar. Here's my promise to you. I plan to implement cost-cutting measures to provide a safe haven and efficiency in that office. I also plan to listen to the community and get input from the community as to how we make that office more effective. I will preserve the rights of your identity. Vote for me. I'm Coleman Thompson. I'm your nominee for Shelby County Register.
Call United Bonding Company at 577-1138. United Bonding Company is ready to serve you 24 hours a day with prompt, discreet, honest service. Our office is conveniently located across the street from the Criminal Justice Center at 201 Poplar Avenue. We write bail bonds in all the Shelby County courts, including juvenile court. All major credit cards are accepted. Call United Bonding Company at 577-1138 today.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a nice day. United Bonding Company, where good service with honesty and integrity comes naturally. United Bonding Company.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Tamara. I've been speaking with Kelley AlsoBrook. She's the founder and director of Ashes to Beauty, and we've been talking about victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. Kelley, I've really enjoyed having you here.
I've really enjoyed being here.
Yeah. So you have a internet radio show.
Yes.
Tell my audience about that.
Ashes to Beauty Talk Radio is about having people on the show that have been through circumstances, have gone through their healing, and how they help, help others. They've taken their circumstances, and it's just like the name of the my organization. They've gone from ashes, and they've turned it around and into something beautiful. So we've had some really amazing speakers on, and it airs every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. And it's at www.blogtalkradio.com/ashes to beauty.
Okay, so do you do speaking engagements also?
Yes, I do. I speak at churches, organizations. I've presented at youth villages for their big conference that they have every year. I've been a presenter there. I'm actually going to be on a panel for the Human Trafficking Conference in West Palm Beach. I'm going to be a part of the survivors panel. So I even travel. So
wonderful. So, in closing, what would you like to say to those young ladies and young men who may be victims of human trafficking and also domestic violence?
Just know that you are so special. You are unique. You are loved. There's nobody that is better than you or beneath you. But you are so special, and don't let anybody tear you down. Don't let anybody tell you any different. If you're still involved in trafficking, get out as soon as possible. If you're in a domestic violence situation, even if you have to leave everything that you own, you've got to get out. Because the bottom line is they'll get killed. Yeah. That is the ultimate thing. And if you are being trafficked now and you really want help to get out, there is a phone number that you can call for a rescue team. They will come and get you. It's 888-225-0498, and that's the Trafficking in America Task Force and Bishop Outreach Rescue Line, which we are partners with. But you have to get out of that lifestyle. It's going to do nothing but kill you, and you deserve the best. You deserve the best of everything that God has for you.
I have to say that I'm also dedicated to the cause. I'm in the process of starting a nonprofit organization, A Concrete Rose, and my goal is to shelter women that are victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. That's also a passion of mine because I was also a victim when I was a teenager of domestic violence. And in my study of also domestic violence, that's when I started to learn about human trafficking and how it goes hand in hand. You know, it's about control. So I'm dedicated to helping you also. I'm so glad that you came today. I think that your story is going to help a lot of young women. You're such a brave woman because a lot of people are embarrassed about what they've gone through. And I tell people all the time, what we go through in life, it's it's never really about us. It's never really about us. It's always so that we can help somebody else. Our experiences are. And so I thank you for coming here and sharing your story to help all the young women that are going to be watching this show. Thank you so much.
Well, I thank you for having me on, and anything that I can do to help, please just let me know.
I would love for you to help me. I would love to.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I want to thank you all for tuning in to Real Talk with Tamara. This has been an emotional show for me, but it is also a necessary show. And I hope that this audience learns, and I hope that they take everything that Kelley has told them and apply it if they're in situations like that. Until next time, God bless us all.